and he thinks that he's going to destroy everybody else. But this is now actually going to get fun. Now he's in a prize fight. He's in a fucking prize fight right now, and I am going to beat the shit out of him. He's going to get into the octagon. He's not going to be able to leave. His only way out, hopefully for him, is if this motion to dismiss goes through and the case gets chucked. But I hope it doesn't, actually, to tell you the truth. I think that this is going to go to discovery. And the more that these judges hate me, I think that the more likely they are going to pull me into discovery, and I'm going to be able to have my fun with Germ. Because think about it, at the end of the day, it's not punishment for me to be in this case. It gives me something to do. They don't understand that. That's and he thinks that he's going to destroy everybody else. But this is now actually going to get fun. Now he's in a prize fight. He's in a fucking prize fight right now, and I am going to beat the shit out of him. He's going to get into the octagon. He's not going to be able to leave. His only way out, hopefully for him, is if this motion to dismiss goes through and the case gets chucked. But I hope it doesn't, actually, to tell you the truth. I think that this is going to go to discovery. And the more that these judges hate me, I think that the more likely they are going to pull me into discovery, and I'm going to be able to have my fun with Germ. Because think about it, at the end of the day, it's not punishment for me to be in this case. It gives me something to do. They don't understand that. That's and he thinks that he's going to destroy everybody else. But this is now actually going to get fun. Now he's in a prize fight. He's in a fucking prize fight right now, and I am going to beat the shit out of him. He's going to get into the octagon. He's not going to be able to leave. His only way out, hopefully for him, is if this motion to dismiss goes through and the case gets chucked. But I hope it doesn't, actually, to tell you the truth. I think that this is going to go to discovery. And the more that these judges hate me, I think that the more likely they are going to pull me into discovery, and I'm going to be able to have my fun with Germ. Because think about it, at the end of the day, it's not punishment for me to be in this case. It gives me something to do. They don't understand that. That's all right. Hello, everybody. Good afternoon. Happy Friday. And we are going live for a little while, myself and my good friend, the world-renowned journalist from the windy city of Chicago, Mr. Michael Volpe, who writes at michaelvolpe.substack.com and covers amazing cases around the globe, including a very, very famous case to many people who are watching today, involving a man in Otter Creek, Florida, and Peninsula, Ohio, named Jeremy Ratface Hales. He is a man who's known to love iguanas and lizards and all sorts of reptilians. How are you today, Michael?
I'm good. So we're going to do a few updates on the case. So one of Jeremy Hales is a scummy YouTuber who likes to sue people and create content out of it. He may or may not have figured out a business model, but what he definitely has been able to do is co-opt other YouTubers not quite as popular as him. And one of those is that umbrella guy that everybody calls TUG. And so I have sent TUG many, many emails over the last year and a half, but for some reason, over the last couple of weeks, he started to respond to them, and they are pretty interesting. So I wanted to get up a few of these emails so we can talk about them. And so we'll start with this, and hopefully that gets up on the screen. Is that up on the screen?
Is this the one we want?
Yeah,
Michael?
You should be able to put it.
It's all up. They're ready for everybody to go.
All right. So I sent him an article, and he I just sent him the article. We talked about this last week where I said that he was smearing me, and here's his response. Wow. I was away yesterday and missed this. You get a woman locked up. You help lose her lawyer along with her freedom. you get yourself in trouble too. And now you're crying about me exposing you with your own article. I think it's more than that. I think you really want to skip the foreplay and get right to the gargling, but your house hubby won't let you. You want some of that tug in your life. I get it. And that's okay, baby. It'll be our secret. Shh, don't speak. Don't ruin the movie. You're stupid. Oh, and read my Substack. Please, Tug, make me sweet optical love to this dirty little Joseph A. Banks boy. And so the thing that interested me was I sent it, I think, on May 29th, and he responded on May 30th. And I was like, thanks for letting me know you were away yesterday. I was really concerned about your whereabouts because I couldn't understand why did he need to let me know that he was away the day before. Would it have made a difference that it took him a day? And he's like, I know how you dream about me, baby. That's okay. I don't blame you. By the way, I saw a funny video about how your mom pays your bill while you cosplay journalist. That's not what anyone means by a kept man. Thank you for reminding me to subscribe to those. Read my Substack. Please, I'll get grounded if you don't. Did you let me know you were away because you wanted to excuse your delay in responding? Sad. It's because you're such a catch lover, boy. If I play my cards right, maybe you can steal my baby and your mom will pay my bills and put away my groceries too. There's always dreaming. Read my Substack after dark. Tug, all your lame jokes won't change that you protect pedophiles, so much so that you can't even say the word correctly. Remember, a narcissist must have the last word. So you will respond. And he does respond. He just couldn't help himself. He had to respond. He was in part commenting on the case that we talked about where he blames me for Bridget Suarez going to jail. I didn't cost her lawyer. I think the lawyer wanted to drop out before. But most of that was like twisted. But did you notice how after I said you must respond, he still responds? Can you get up my article, my conversation with Tug?
Sure. I can put that up. It's a conversation that you had with Tug. Is that the article we're talking about, Mr. Michael?
Yeah, this is in 2025.
And let me put it on the stage. Add it to the stage. You like that?
Right, yeah. And so I write, talk to Megan. She'll explain. I think I said, this isn't going to work out well for your career. That was something I would say to people. I know why you won't come on. You need all your emails approved. That won't work live. The good news is I got you talking, and given how much of a douche you are, it's bad news also. A wise person once told me, a narcissist always needs the last word. So make sure to respond. And he responds again. This guy is desperate for the last word. It is a narcissistic trait. It doesn't make him a narcissist just based on that. But he can't help himself. He has to respond. He just can't help himself.
And he's doing projection too. He calls you another sad, egotistical scumbag. Well, he's the narcissist who can't help but responding. He's the sad, egotistical scumbag. You know, he's pretty pedestrian when it comes to that.
I wasn't. The thing with Tug, at some point you have to say, "I'll give you the last word," because if I respond, he'll respond, and then there is no there's no end. He'll always respond to me. That's why I do it. And I dare him to respond, and he does. So I was thinking about an article, and first, get up. It's missing in Minnesota, and I want to project this, and then I'll get up the back and forth I had with Tug.
Okay. Let's put it up there. This is missing in Minnesota. This is Grazzini Rucky. It's a very famous case that we talk about a lot, Michael, that you covered, the Rucky case. So give us some background on the Rucky case for those of the audience who don't know about the Rucky case.
All right. This is one of the most significant and notorious child custody cases. It was covered in a lot of different places, including a hatchet job by 2020. Elizabeth Vargas did it, called Footprints in the Snow. The reason they called it Footprints in the Snow is because the two oldest girls, Samantha and Gianna, they ran away from home on August 19, 2013, because they were told they were going to live with their paternal aunt, and then that would transition to living with their father, and their father was extremely abusive. And I'll go through some of the evidence of abuse. And so the reason they called it Footprints in the Snow is because the way that 2020 presented it was that they ran through a blizzard, and they did, like, I don't know if it's called B-roll, but they did like a B-roll of snow to make it look like there was a blizzard. And it was April 19th, 2013. And I actually looked it up. It was less than an inch of snow, which I don't know if that means zero, if it really is like less than an inch. But there wasn't enough snow. And of course, on April 19th, there probably wouldn't be enough snow, even in Minnesota. This happened in Dakota County in Minnesota. So even the title was misleading. But the main thing that was a hatchet job by 2020 was that they ignored all of the evidence of abuse, and they made it seem like the girls ran because the mom was vindictive, and they were convinced by their mom that their father was abusive, even though there was no evidence. And this guy wrote, it won some award, an award-winning book called The Girls Are Gone, which should be in the fiction section. So this guy, Michael Broadcorb, used to be the public affairs officer, I think, for the Minnesota Republican Party. He was somewhere in the Minnesota Republican Party. And then he had an affair with a state legislator. I don't remember if a state rep or a state senator. I think her last name is Rice. They busted him. He was married at the time. I think she was too. And he threatened to go scorched earth. So he basically burnt a bunch of bridges. He then matriculates to be a blogger at the Minneapolis Star-Tribune covering politics. And in May of 2015, so approximately 2 years after the girls ran, and they were still missing at this point, he starts covering the Rucky custody case. And from May of 2015 through 2021, he does nothing but cover the Rucky custody case. And then in 2021 or thereabouts, he transitioned back into politics. Does that sound like it's organic?
No, it doesn't sound like it at all. It sounds like he
right.
went
So
because he was getting paid to go someplace, right?
Correct. So let's read this article here. Get down a little bit more.
Where do you want to start?
All right, Sandra Grazzini, and by the way, can you roll up? She goes by Sam. So Sandra Grazzini Rucky claims a federal agent with the United States Marshal Service who posed as a plumber has placed her in protective custody in a safe house, according to an interview broadcast yesterday live online. Grazzini Rucky also said during her interview that she is being held by the U.S. Marshal Service she didn't say that, but in advance of a warrant being issued for her arrest. She claims that she is being protected and held by, he's not getting it right, but in any case, in a series of outlandish falsehoods made by Grazzini Rucky, who has a documented and extensive record of lying both in and out of the courtroom. Multiple law enforcement agencies contacted today, including the U.S. Marshal Service, confirmed Grazzini Rucky is not in custody. Well, she didn't say she was in custody. Since being convicted on July 16th of 6 felonies for her role in the disappearance of her daughters, Grazzini Rucky's false statements and accusations have become more outrageous and untruthful. In her interview yesterday, Grazzini Rucky claimed she was out to dinner with friends on the evening of Friday, December 8, 2017. In a plot line similar to the television show Desperate Housewives, Grazzini Rucky said she learned during her dinner that her friend, who she thought was a plumber, was actually an undercover United States Marshal tasked with locating Grazzini Rucki. That's not actually what she said. I thought this guy was a plumber, and it turned out he was a federal marshal. After learning that Grazzini Rucki was the person he was tasked with locating, that's not actually what she said. Claims the plumber, undercover U.S. Marshal, had a change of heart and basically got me to a safe house where Grazzini Rucki claims she is still being held. Michael Volpe, who co-authored a book with Grazzini Rucki's family court attorney, Michelle McDonald, about Grazzini Rucki, you know Michelle, participated in the interview with Grazzini Rucki. Scroll down. Below is a portion of Grazzini Rucki's interview with Volpe, which was broadcast online yesterday. Despite Grazzini Rucki's repeated claims that she does not have a phone, Volpe spoke with Grazzini Rucki on her phone during the interview. In the interview, Volpe said, this federal marshal risked his life and put her in a safe house in a place no one would know about. She goes from having dinner Friday night to finding out she's being chased by a federal marshals to being like swept in a safe house. Volpe is based in Chicago and has disseminated Grazzini Rucki propaganda masquerading as news. Does that sound like Tug? Many of Volpe's stories published about Grazzini Rucki have been retracted. That is not true, due to factual inaccuracies contained in the stories. So the retraction, let me tell you what this guy did, Michael Broadcorp. So during her criminal trial, and the girls, she did help hide the girls. She doesn't like the phrase hide, but she did help hide them. And because her ex-husband had sole custody, it's not custodial interference or deprivation of parental rights, I think is what they called it. So that was the crime, that by hiding the girls, he lost custody time. So during the trial, during breaks in the trial, tell me if you've ever heard of this happening. On 3 occasions, members of the press walked up to the jury, which was not sequestered, and said and asked, hey, if any of you guys want to be interviewed after the trial's over, can you let me know? Wow. You ever heard of such a thing? 3 times. Broadcorp was one of the 3. So before writing the article, I reached out to Broadcorp. He said nothing. After the article came out, he denied that he was one of the 3. He demanded a retraction. What we did was we removed the article while we figured out what statement to give him, and then put the article back. And then, of course, he claims that it was retracted. And so that kind of stuff that he did, it's really similar to what Tug does. Now, can you get up? I've got a script file. Can you get that up?
I can do that.
Yeah. All right. Can you get to page 15 of that
We're on
script
page 15,
file?
right here, Michael. This is page 15.
Let's read it. The reporter stated that the father told the reporter 1.5 years ago that father held a gun to child's head when the child was 8 years old. All right, that is one of many incidents of extreme abuse. Now, that child's name is Nico. If you can scroll down. Nico, you see that? If you guys notice, Nico is now, if you follow this case enough, you'll know that Nico is one of David's chief defenders now. And that only started after David started to buy him stuff. And he bought him a car. So anyway, that's one of a lot of evidence of David being abusive. Can you get the Daily Caller article up?
I can get the Daily Caller. Yes, I can do that.
Mm-hmm.
Here we go, Daily Caller. So you wanted it, the battle, Rucki's battle with the Minnesota courts. Right here, correct?
Yeah. So if you can scroll down a little bit.
So Sandra Grazzini Rucki's battle with the Minnesota courts.
Right. Yeah. No, that not there. Hold on. And by the way, here's the reason that Sam hid them right there. Can you stop? Wait, scroll up. And this is my YouTube channel now gone. We're running with or without you. That's what the girls told their mom. What choice did she have except to hide them? Now, if you scroll down, we're going to start to get some of the evidence of David being abusive. So this recording, hold on, right there, stop. So David Rucky's police incidents includes an allegation of a bar fight, a road rage incident, threatening to kill his neighbors, his in-laws, stalking his ex-wife, choking her, and repeatedly violating a protective order. He also chased after his daughter, this is another police report, on her 13th birthday until she barricaded herself in her house. And the aforementioned, he stuck a gun to her head. And in that audio recording that is no longer online because Jeremy Hales removed my YouTube channel, you heard Sammy, that's her daughter, Samantha, she's the oldest daughter, Nico's a little bit older than her, say that my father ripped an organ leg off an organ. He legit ripped an organ leg off an organ and started choking her with it. So that is some of the evidence of abuse. Now, this guy, Michael Broadcorp, go back to that article, claims that I am a propagandist, but never mentions any of this evidence, even though most of it is in police reports or CPS reports. And he claims that I am the one who is the propagandist. All right, so I want to get one more thing up, and then I'm going to need to get this one up. All right.
You going to put yours up?
Can you remove that? Yeah. So I was thinking about writing an article on like comparing TUG and Michael Broadcorp, and I guess this will be the article. But I reached out to him. And I think this is the emails back and forth. Do you get that? Is that up?
It's up.
Yeah. All right. You should check out this site, and it's missing in Minnesota. You remind me of the guy who runs it. You're both smear merchants who manipulate facts. Neither of you care about the truth. What do you think? Are you like Broadcorp? I'll probably do an article soon. Wah. Widow Michael got his feelings twisted again. The Volvo will not pay. No, ladies, you can throw in jail or manipulate and touching your pee-pee. That's why you go crying to Daddy Tug. You need a pep talk. So that was sent on June 4th. The other one was sent, I think, like late May, and he acts like I'm, every day sending this guy emails. But he responds to serious topics with like childish responses. Right?
And that's what he does.
Right. So hold on. All right. I should have gotten this up earlier. All right. But I got one more thing to show. So what does Google AI say about someone who responds to serious topics with childish responses? Is that up?
It's up, Michael. Read it for everybody.
Responding to serious topics with childish behavior usually indicates an emotionally defensive mechanism rather than a lack of intelligence. People often do this to deflect discomfort, avoid vulnerability, or cope with topics that feel too overwhelming to process maturely. Here are the most common psychological reasons behind this. Avoidance and deflection. Humor and silliness act as a shield to change the subject and avoid the heavy emotional toll of a serious conversation. Emotional immaturity. The person may genuinely lack the conflict resolution skills or emotional vocabulary required to engage with this topic constructively. Overwhelming and anxiety. When stressed, some individuals regress to familiar, safe behaviors like joking or acting out as subconscious coping strategies. Using childish dismissiveness can be a passive-aggressive way to frustrate the other person and devalue that's probably the most correct thing. That's why he's doing it. It's his way of trying to get power over me by saying that nothing you say matters. So one last thing, if you can get up there's a screenshot that of Todd commenting on a Substack note of mine. So here it is. First of all, Gail Tracy, fuck around, find out, right, Michael? Larry Forman? Really? Now, this is a Substack note. What's Substack notes?
So it's kind of like you have a. It's like any other social media. You could put a note on a thread when you want to say something to your followers and groups of people. It's on your Substack, yeah.
Right. So what would you think if someone had the article I got Forman right in the note, which is the Substack social media, I got his last name wrong. What do you say about someone who finds a spelling error in my Substack note? Like how much of my stuff is he reading and watching and listening to?
That means that he must be an avid reader to find a spelling error and then bring it to everyone's attention. You should thank him. He's like your proofreader now. He's giving you proofreading services for free.
Yeah, no. So Tug, whether you like it or not, you're my fan. I have no idea what you're saying on Facebook. I have no idea what you're saying on Twitter. I watch every once in a while. I'll watch one of your videos. I don't watch them that often. I don't watch the videos because what you guys do is you read court documents and comment on them. And I can read the court documents myself. I don't care about your commentary. So if someone alerts my attention to something you say, I may watch it. But I'm not your fan. But if you found a spelling error, you're like, he found a spelling error. I'd say, ha, you are so desperate to find stuff about me that you're looking at my Substack notes, which means you went through my Facebook, my Twitter, my LinkedIn, and couldn't find anything there. And you were so desperate that you went to my Substack notes. So this is Tug. Apparently, I had this with, what's his name? Just Jay Hip. That guy, it was like he was assigned to me.
Jay Jip.
All of a sudden. Yeah,
she's probably watching, Michael. He's another one of your fans, Mike. He's another one of your fans. If you misspell something, he tells you anymore,
but he used to. But it's like they assigned him to me, and he's been attacking me. But he makes snide comments like, I'm desperately trying to get him to read my stuff. I don't need to get you to read my stuff. You are looking at my notes. Obviously, you're reading my stuff. All right. Anything you wanted to add about that?
Well, no, not really. You want me to get that other picture up with our good friend, the piglet?
Oh, yeah. So let's get the other picture up. All right. So Lisa, this is Megan, I think from her Facebook page. Lisa Lee files false privacy complaints against legally obtained public information while at the same time posts a sexually disgusting video made by Luthmann that has already been banned from YouTube. This is how you lose your channel. Now, she seems pretty upset about a small thing, and yet Tug was making fun of me for getting bent out of shape, according to him, getting bent out of shape about him criticizing me. And here is Megan still complaining about your video from 2025. Do you know what's ironic?
What's ironic, Mike? Tell me.
Do you know what's ironic? What's ironic is if they hadn't made a big deal out of the video, no one would have kept bringing it up. The only reason that people are still talking about your video in mid-2026 is because they kept talking about it. They're the ones who have drawn attention to it, and she doesn't really think it's disgusting. She needs to because it's part of her persona. But can you get up the video on YouTube with Judge Michael Burton? So this video that you're going to watch is from 5 years ago. And 5 years ago, there was a judge named Michael Burton. He was head of the Family Court Division in St. Louis County. After we did a series of articles, we heard a rumor that he was about to retire. We blasted him a million different ways. We actually, the main thing that we got was an email that he sent to a group of Garden at Lightham where he commented on a case that he was not presiding on, which is a huge no-no because he was basically poisoning the wells on that person. And that's really what led him to retire. So both Megan and I were told by different people that apparently some lawyers were talking during some deposition, I don't remember which one, and that they had heard that Judge Burton was going to retire. Now, you can't run with that, but Megan heard that he was going to be doing some sort of a webinar, and she gets on the webinar and watch what happens. So get that up. It's not up.
Can you hear it? Hold on, let me put it up. Got to put it onto the screen.
All right.
Hold on a sec. I made it big and everything. Look beautiful. Okay, let's go. Oh, let's take her down. Let's take Piglet down, and then let's put this up. Excellent. That's where we want to.
All right, here we go.
Okay.
All right, now watch what happens. Yeah,
Right,
watch what
I had
happens.
a question where someone wanted to know, is it true that Judge Burton is retiring?
Maybe. Yes, it is. Yes, it is. And my last day will be in August. There therefore will be a vacancy, and we
All right,
certainly
stop
welcome
it.
applications.
All right.
Yep.
That's how she confirmed. That's a really big deal to get a judge to retire. That was the question came from Megan. They didn't have her speak it. But get that get the screenshot back up.
Okay.
Megan's gone from retiring judges to try to get rid of Lisa's YouTube channel. If anything shows how the mighty have fallen, it's this. She's crying on Facebook about trying to get somebody's YouTube channel down. 5 years ago, she was retiring family court judges.
Yeah, that's the truth. And you know what we'll do, Michael? As a segue into some more, we're going to talk about the legal case. I'm going to show some stuff from the legal case. So this is, and I'll share this tab. This is related to Megan. I'm just going to show everybody so there's no question what this is. This is the U.S. District Court for the Northern District of Florida in Gainesville, and I put it up right now. I'm going to add this to the stage. Let's take this down, and let's add this to the stage. That's the docket. This is the docket we're looking at right now. This is the actual live docket. We're live on the docket sheet, right? Jeremy Hales, Elevich, you terminated. This Michelle, and then look who's left. Michelle, everybody else is terminated. Richard Luthmann Jr., right? And then you go all the way down, and look what's going on at the end of this thing. What happened yesterday. Docket annotation by court. Motion to require plaintiff Jeremy Hales and counsel Randall Shaka to show cause. Attachment 1A, USB digital media exhibit by Richard Luthmann Jr. placed USB flash drive on GV clerk's shelf until requested by Chambers. What does that mean? That means that the video that Megan has been hemming and hawing about, screeching about, oinking about, Piglet has been going and telling anybody who'll listen about this terrible, terrible video. The court confirmed that it's a filed court document in the possession of the clerk. The clerk in the Gainesville clerk, GV clerk.
Hopefully we will get a judge to rule on it so they can stop complaining about your stupid video that should have not received any more publicity than a day or two. And we can all move on. But she has
right now, it's on the shelf of the Gainesville clerk. GV clerk. So I'll take this off real quick to show everybody. USB flash drive on GV clerk shelf until requested by Chambers. Now, the question is whether your favorite judge, Judge Zachary Bolitho, the magistrate, is going to request and review the video, right? Or I'm going to have to take him to the Rule 72 to Judge Hinkle, and if he's going to see the video, or if I'm going to have to take it all the way up to the 11th Circuit.
I have been saying for a while that once a judge looks at the video, this will end because the video is not what Shockhead and Hales portray it to be. It's a silly satire video. It's two photographs. There's not actually any sexually explicit content because the photographs are of two people's heads. So you can't have sexually explicit content. But what you did was you filed a motion to order to show cause, which presses the issue. It's complicated legal maneuver. We don't need to get into what exactly the legal maneuver means.
This is what's in. It was filed in the court. It's up right now, real quick. This is the front page of it, and it says defendant Richard Luthmann's motion to require plaintiff Jeremy B. Hales and counsel Miranda Marchaka to show cause why sanctions, discipline, and other relief should not issue for the repeated false factual representations about the video, the challenge video. And they keep on saying that it's revenge porn, it's this, it's that, and it's not that. And the one phrase that we keep on hearing is it depicts plaintiff engaging in oral sex with a journalist. It doesn't name Megan Fox as that journalist. For all we know, it's Don Lemon, the former CNN anchor, or it could be another journalist that we don't know about. We don't know who this journalist is. You know, so so that's the big point. We have to belabor this document because I read it the other day, but I'll go down to the bottom just to reinforce this. Exhibit A that's on the shelf in Gainesville that we just saw, this is what was added as Exhibit A. I put it in Exhibit A, digital media exhibit, and we just saw it's confirmed that it's there. The thumb drive containing the public digital media file identified in the operative pleadings, that's Jeremy Hales' own third amended complaint, the challenge video publication allegedly posted by defendant Richard A. Luthmann Jr. Newsflash, yes, I posted it. It's satire. And check it out. It's on my Substack page still. If it was a crime against humanity, you think Substack would have it up for a year and a half already? Get out of here. Then I have it as an Exhibit A challenge publication. It's submitted for the court to review the actual media directly. Defendant contends the media does.
In fact, if anyone had complained about it, you would have received some kind of notice from Substack that there was a complaint, that they would say it was sexually explicit content.
Well, they reviewed it, and I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what, Mike. I'll break news right here. I've been putting up this video the last few days and playing the video. I'll even show it now if people want to see it. Tell me in the chat if you want to see it again. But the fact is, I've been putting it up, and I've got notices on the back of my Substack. They wanted to make it 18 plus. They wanted to do this. They want to do that. And I hit appeal. I've had 3 or 4 of them already. Every time they apologized to me and said, "Oh, upon further review, that's nothing here." So YouTube has already got into the fact that this is not an issue. But if you see, I put it inside an envelope.
YouTube is sensitive because they could call it harassing.
Well, no, they didn't. So they've reviewed it, and they reviewed it for me 2 or 3 times already, and they said that it's not. And there, ladies and gentlemen, is the flash drive. That's a picture of it. That is what's sitting on the shelf in the clerk's office, in the Gainesville clerk in the Northern District of Florida. Okay, so when Megan comes and lies and says that this is something that's been banned from YouTube and that's, no, it's a filed court document. It's part of the case. Okay, so people have to understand when you have documents that are part of the case, and if this thing were clearly a problem, they would be running to court, Jeremy Hales and Randy Shockett, to get a protective order. And if they wanted to get a protective order, you know what they'd have to do, Michael? They'd have to tell the judge to review the video. So they haven't run to the court to get a protective order. It's amateur hour what these people are doing. Okay, it's amateur hour what these people are doing. But I wanted to show this, and then I want to show something to everybody that is not amateur hour. I'm going to show something a little bit different right now. And this is something that is real. Michael, what's an IC3 complaint?
I think that's an FBI complaint.
That's an FBI complaint. This is an actual real FBI complaint. I'm not going to scroll past that, but it was Leslie Federigos. These people are under investigation. I'm not going to try to do any of her phone number.
No, they're not under. They're not under.
And I'm going to go all the way down.
They're not under investigation.
No, there's a report. Jeremy Hales. This is Michael.
Yeah,
look at the date on this.
No,
Michael, look at the date on this. 6/3/2026.
Stop talking. They are not under investigation. Anyone can submit a complaint with the FBI. That does not mean that they are under investigation. I have submitted complaints. I said it doesn't mean they're under investigation. I've submitted complaints.
I'm not saying that they're under investigation.
That does not, stop talking. That does not mean that the FBI opens up an investigation.
No, but it means the FBI are involved. The FBI are involved.
No, it does not. Anyone
What does that say right there, Michael? Federal Bureau of Investigation. Internet
Yes,
Crime
and
Complaint
I can
Center.
make it. I can make a complaint with the Federal Bureau of Investigation in the exact same way. That does not mean that the FBI is involved. Anyone can
Yes,
make
it
a
does.
complaint. You do not
Information
know if they are involved.
about
That means
the
that
subject.
some person sent in a complaint. That does not mean that the FBI is involved. Don't mislead.
The complaint says FBI on the top. How do you say they're not involved if it says
Yes,
FBI?
because you can go onto the FBI's internet system and file a complaint. That does not mean the FBI is involved. It means that somebody sent in a complaint to the FBI. That's all it means.
Is it part of the records of the FBI at this point, Michael?
Yeah, they've received it. That does not that
No, the
FBI is
FBI's
involved.
records are involved at this point, right? The FBI's records are involved.
The FBI's records. They receive tons of tips, tons of complaints, tons of these. That does not mean they're involved. It doesn't mean they're investigating.
All right. It means they could, though, possibly. This is the first step in them investigating.
They could without you filing a complaint too. You don't have to send them a
George, Risk, United States of America.
Of course.
Okay, let's read this.
Of course.
Let's see what the FBI may potentially investigate or may not investigate. Provide a description of the incident and how you or those you are filling this out were victimized. Right, information not captured elsewhere. Jeremy Hales and Martha George Risk, with the assistance of Randall Shockett Esquire, have engaged in a fraudulent scheme to solicit donations from the public by knowingly and repeatedly misrepresenting the amount of legal fees purportedly incurred, as evidenced by their own statements during multiple YouTube live streams. On at least 14 separate occasions between June 1st, 2025 and March 1st, 2026, Hale provided nearly inconsistent and contradictory figures ranging from $360,000 to $1 million regarding the legal fees allegedly paid, all while actively soliciting and collecting donations from these legal expenses for a live audience exceeding 60,000 viewers. A donation of one viewer was $54,000 was given during his live stream based on this false information. These misrepresentations, transmitted via interstate wire communications through YouTube, constitute a deliberate course of conduct designed to induce viewers to donate money under false pretenses in violation of 18 U.S.C. 1343 wire fraud. Pattern of inconsistent statements, including both substantial inflation and deflation of legal fee amounts within short time periods, demonstrates a knowing intent to defraud donors by fabricating or exaggerating the financial need for legal defense funds. Furthermore, his attorney, Randall Shockett Esquire, gave Hales his tie to auction off to raise money for false legal fees. And they have the names of the this. And then they have the statements about Nick. Nick Recato was on there. They were talking about Nick Recato on there. And if we want, I could show the video, but this is some of the links to the videos. It's a very, very detailed situation. You know, maybe there's not an investigation yet, Michael. Yet might be the operative word. It may take a while for an FBI agent, a special agent, to review all of these different, and it's very detailed. Look at all these streams here. Everything that happened here. Wow, this is crazy.
You're building it up. Wonderful. Crazy Leslie.
Yes, Leslie.
Crazy Leslie has sent in an FBI complaint. You're building it up. It doesn't matter. They have an online system. Any idiot can stop talking. Any idiot can send them something. If you think this is where the bulk of their investigations are from the public sending complaints through their internet system, you don't understand how the FBI works. The chances that they're going to investigate this aren't that large. You are building this up into something it's not, and when they do nothing, you're the one that's going to lose credibility.
I'm just presenting a filing, Michael. I'm just presenting it.
Yeah, you're presenting. I can go on YouTube and say that TUG is doing this, that, and the other, and it's not going to make any difference. It's the same thing. Anyone can file a complaint with the FBI. Anyone.
But they did file a complaint with the FBI on Jeremy Hales, Randy Shockett, and Martha Risk.
It's surprising that Leslie would file a complaint about Jeremy Hales with the FBI. I'm shocked.
Okay, well, that's what happened, I guess. That's what's out there. All right, so Michael,
on their online system and filed a complaint with the FBI. It's huge.
Right, speaking of scumbags,
Michael, turning it into something big.
Speaking of scumbags, can you tell us? And I'll show you a picture. Actually, I'm going to put it on the screen. Can you tell us who this person is?
That is Larry Forman. That's the guy I misspelled in my Substack note. He is a lawyer in Kentucky and another propagandist. And by being a lawyer, he gives Jeremy Hales credibility. He has about 500,000 subscribers in his YouTube channel. So I recently did an article about how he is very provocative in his YouTube channel, and that may get him into trouble because as a lawyer, even on YouTube. Now, you and I have talked about the aforementioned Michelle McDonald, and she was doing an interview, and it was about the Rucky case. And what happened was in the custody trial, this is an amazing story. In the custody trial, which happened September 11th and 12th, while the two girls were still missing because they ran on April 19th, they held a custody trial in absentia. In the middle of a break, she was taken into a back room, thrown into a wheelchair, handcuffed, then wheeled back in. Her client, Sandra Grazzini Rucky, was told that the hearing was over. So she comes back. Her client isn't there. Her computer, her notes, her pen are all taken, and she is told to continue the trial, handcuffed to a wheelchair. She is then interviewed several years later about this trial, and she said there was no process. She meant due process. She just used the word process. The judge who was presiding, David Knutson, happened to be listening and filed a bar complaint, and they said she maligned his integrity. I might be paraphrasing the exact language that they used, but basically, as a lawyer, you can't just say anything you want about a judge. And if you say things that are untrue, if you make fun of them, if you use loaded language to describe a judge, that is by American Bar Association rules, and thereby by each of the states' Bar Association rules, a violation of legal ethics. Am I right about that?
Sounds like it to me, Michael.
Get the article up.
All right. This is actually very good, Michael Volpe.
I won't say this is where he started with the Hales story, but he definitely covered what's known as Judge Grudge, Judge Craig DeThomas's. And I want to mention that the Hales people get a lot of traffic out of the idea that Judge DeThomas's was biased. In reality, what happened was Jeremy Hales filed multiple, I believe, motions to recuse him. And in one of the motions, Judge DeThomas not only declined it, but gave reasons why he should decline it. And Florida rules don't allow you to give reasons. So the appeals court made him recuse himself. And that is all the evidence they have that he actually was biased. It's a very technical argument, and it's not the kind of bias that you would think of. So Foreman did a lot of work on the Judge Grudge case. If you can scroll down, we'll read some of the things that he said about Judge Grudge. So in one video, he called Judge DeThomas the worst judge in Florida. Now that is dicey. That does malign his integrity. He called him unhinged, and he defends perverts. And as you can see, he gave him a clown mask. He's trying to be provocative. He's trying to get attention. He's trying to get his videos to get attention, which works. His videos get lots of views. But when it comes to being a lawyer, this it's problematic. If he ever faces a bar complaint, it's going to be hard for him to explain why he put a clown mask on a judge and said he defends perverts, and he's unhinged. He's going to have to provide a ton of evidence to say that. Listen, Michelle has her license. Hold on. Michelle has her license indefinitely suspended because she, referring to a court hearing without even mentioning the judge's name, said it had no process. Just that. And this guy's calling a judge unhinged, defending perverts. If this gets to the bar, he's going to have some problems. Go ahead.
There's somebody else that we cover. Somebody else that we cover very often that said that judges defended perverts. And his name is Paul Boyne.
Mhm.
How did that work out for Paul
Mhm.
Boyne, Michael?
Not well. He's sitting in jail for 20 years. So he's going to have some problems. So if you can
I
scroll
think
down,
that,
that's
you know,
not
the least
only-
they can do is take away Mr. Foreman's license, or at least seriously consider taking away his license for calling
Right.
judges defending
And here it
perverts
is.
without
You can't
showing the proof.
impugn-
And Michael, real quick though, you remember what happened with what's her name, Nicola, the attorney up in Connecticut, the one
Cunha.
who went in front of
Right.
Cunha, Nicola
Right.
Cunha. She went in front of the Judge Mukhauser, who was one of
Wait,
the
hold on,
victims.
stop. Nicola Cunha was defending a woman named Karen Riordan, and Nicola read too many of Paul's blogs where he was making arguments about Jews running the courts, and I guess that was in the back of her mind, and she made an offhanded comment to the judge presiding. I don't remember which judge it was.
She didn't just make an
about
offhanded
how, you know-
comment. Michael, they didn't just make an offhanded comment. They brought her in, and they had said, "You're going to show cause."
Hold on. Stop. She made an offhanded comment about how the courts may be run by a lot of Jews, and she immediately apologized, and they wouldn't let it go, and they actually disbarred her, which was ridiculous. Nicole is not anti-Semitic. She did make an anti-Semitic comment. It was an offhanded comment that she immediately apologized for. They should have sanctioned her maybe with a fine, but to disbar her was just so over the top and clearly a way to go after a lawyer who is defending people in corrupt custody cases. Go ahead.
But there's a precedent to bring a lawyer in, like Larry Forman, and bring him before the tribunal and have them show cause to say, you said that such and such judge defended perverts. Show us your good faith basis for making that statement. You're a lawyer, right? So show us your good faith basis for making the statement you said that so-and-so defended perverts. And if it's false, you will be sanctioned, and you may very well face disciplinary charges. That's the same thing we're doing with a man named Randall Shockett. Randall Shockett said the same thing we said before about...
Folks, here's the thing. With regards to bar rules, he's not going to be able to say, well, he gave this guy some sentence, or, you know, there was this kind of a case and he ruled in this guy's favor. You know, if you say he defends perverts, you better have some serious evidence.
Read the rule,
Michelle
Michael.
was, hold on, stop.
Okay.
Michelle was handcuffed to a wheelchair during this hearing, and they still said, by saying there was no due process, you impugn that judge's integrity. All right, go ahead. Can you scroll down? There's more on Forman.
Read the standard for the audience about 8.2. That's very, very important for everybody to see.
You don't need to read the standard. You can't impugn the integrity of a judge. Go, scroll down. Scroll down. There's more on what Forman did.
That's
right,
Michelle.
and that's where Michelle did it in that interview.
Well,
this is even more. No, we don't need to play it because that goes for like 30 minutes. So let me explain this. One of the most vicious and most vile storylines that Hales created was the idea that there was some kind of fraud in Michelle Preston, his the person that he's torturing and his sometime neighbor. There was some kind of fraud in the adoption that she had with her adopted daughter, who is 6 or 7 years old now. And he even held a fundraiser so that the girl's biological aunt could hire a lawyer to challenge the adoption. And Larry Forman, as you can see, participates in that fundraiser. That they did hire a lawyer. That petition was dismissed 4 days after it was filed. It's as frivolous as it gets. They were just trying to torture and harass Michelle Preston. And if it's shown that he knew that he was contributing to a frivolous case just to torture someone, he may have some like bar ethics problems with that as well.
He's got problems all around, Michael.
Anything else you want to add to that?
He's got.
All right, now, besides that, he is being sued by one Bruce Matskin. Bruce, of course, defended. Was the lawyer for Michelle Preston. And so if you can, hold on. So another thing about Forman is he has problems with his former employees. This is the Hitches who he sued. And during the lawsuit, it came to light that he was forging their signature on legal documents. Scroll down a little more from there.
Okay, hold on.
Keep going. Another former employee is Ben Potash, and he is representing attorney Bruce Matskin in a defamation lawsuit. And Ben doesn't like Forman either and does not think he's a good boss, and I will leave it at that. But he is representing Bruce, who is suing Forman for defamation for falsely claiming that he was escaping to Armenia to avoid prosecution, for falsely claiming that he was going to be disbarred and maybe some other things. And Forman's own words are what's going to get him into trouble. So if we can read this, then he tried to scam a bunch of people there, probably. Forman said, I don't know. I have no evidence of that. If you have no evidence, then you can't say someone's probably going to scam a bunch of people. And as you can see, at this stage, Matskin won a pretty significant victory. The judge is not only moving it towards discovery, but the judge says they believe at this stage that it is very likely that Matskin will reach actual malice, even though Matskin is going to argue that he's a private person. But he may not need to argue he's a private person because he may reach actual malice. And as you can see, if you say he's probably going to scam people and go, I don't know, I have no evidence. Well, you really shouldn't be saying he's going to scam people if you have no evidence. I was incorrect in the article. I've since learned this. Forman hired some hotshot attorneys who filed an anti-SLAPP motion that was dismissed. Because it's anti-SLAPP, they can appeal. It's called interlocutory, and they have appealed that decision, and that's where the case is at right now. That's why we're not spending a lot of time on the case, because right now everybody's just waiting for the appeal to happen. So there is no discovery. It's basically sitting for people waiting for this appeals court. And one last thing about Larry Forman, you and I, we haven't talked about this guy in a while, but you and I talked a lot about a guy named Derek Lee Cardello Smith. Wait, stop.
Oh, that guy. That guy's one of the best.
Right. Right. So this guy right here, can you point to who Derek Smith is?
Yes, he's the black man that is not P. Diddy.
All right. So this guy claimed that in 1997, hold on. This guy claimed that in 1997, Sean Puff Daddy Combs raped him at a get-together that Derek was at. That as a result of that rape, to cover up that rape, multiple people, this happened supposedly. Wait, stop right there. Stop right there. Supposedly this happened in near Detroit, Michigan. Several public officials covered up that rape by smearing him with 2 rapes. I initially believed him, and then as I dug into the evidence, it turned out the whole thing was conjured up. Larry Forman did one video about him. Now, if you can get back to the article.
I can go back to the article, yes.
So right there, a podcaster named Jack Lawrence, who runs several true crime podcasts from Australia. I was in contact with him. I mentioned to Jack that this guy had done it because he's got a pretty popular YouTube channel. Jack sent him a very professional email saying, you know, I noticed this and I have a lot of evidence that will counter it. I'd really like to talk to you. Maybe you can do an update. And what did Forman do? He, in a stealth way, removed the video. Now, can you get back to the screenshot?
I can go back to the screenshot. This one.
Go down a little bit. Right there. That is the thumbnails for his YouTube video. That survived because I sent him a link to the YouTube video through LinkedIn, and it captured the thumbnail. That is the only evidence, folks, left that Larry Forman ever did a video about Derek Lee Cardello Smith. He didn't have the ethics to quickly do a 2-minute video and say, after I published this video, I received information that countered what I said, so I'm removing the video while we look into this evidence. He couldn't even do that. He just, in a stealth way, removed the video. And if you want to know more about Derek and Sean Diddy Combs, watch the excellent podcast called Suing Diddy. It's from Case Files, one of the 50 biggest podcasts in the world. I'm in, I think, episode 7. Jack hosted it. We explore the story in great detail. And that is it for Larry Forman. Anything you wanted to add?
No, he just seems to be a real scumbag to me. And I said it for here. There's a special circle in hell for shameless, self-promoting ambulance chasers, and Larry Forman lives in the basement under that. Volpe reports that Forman pushed attacks on Judge Craig D. Thomasis, amplified Jeremy Hales' narratives, participated in a fundraiser connected to litigation that was later dismissed, made ugly claims about attorney Bruce Matzkin while admitting he had no evidence for parts of them. That's not fearless advocacy. That is clout chasing with a law license. Lawyers can criticize courts, judges, and opposing players, but they do not get a YouTube ethics vacation. The bar should look hard at the whole pattern. Nope, so that's an issue. He's got an issue.
Right,
the guy has a big issue, I think. So,
all right, and hopefully they will. All right,
that's where we are.
And that's all I got. You got anything?
I got something. Lisa Lee, the great Lisa Lee, is part of the associates. I show you better things. Let's see. What did Lisa say? I'm going to look at some of these notes right now. Let's see. Michelle needs to file a bar complaint against Larry Forman for drinking champagne in a live chat, collecting money to take away a disabled child from her mother. That's pretty good. That's actually something that makes sense. But we're talking about these bar complaints. I have some of the things that we have to look at is another complaint. And I'll put it up on the screen, Michael. You tell us what you think about this. I'm going to share the screen again. And we're going to go to this. And here we go. This is a final notice, cease and desist. Right? To your former friend, Megan Fox. This was sent today, about 10 minutes ago, while we're on the air. I'm going to read it. This is Lisa Lee from the Villages, Florida. We all know that. Megan Fox lives in Naples, New York. We're not going to talk any more about their addresses. So this is very, very within the bounds of YouTube. EDSA, educational, documentary, scientific, and artistic exception. Third notice. Failure to respond to cease and desist, ongoing lawful conduct, and notice of investigation to Megan Melissa Fox, a.k.a. Megan Fox Writer, a.k.a. Megan Fox Investigates, a.k.a. Piglet, and all persons acting in concert with you. This letter follows my prior cease and desist demand sent May 9th, May 11th regarding your threats to release private materials, defamation, harassment, copyright infringement, related tortious conduct directed at me, Lisa Lee. Since your receipt of that letter, you've not only failed to formally respond, but you have openly mocked the cease and desist and escalated your unlawful conduct, including further acts of defamation, humiliation, invasion of my privacy. Your actions determine a willful disregard for my legal rights and have only increased your exposure to liability. Please be advised that your conduct has now been reported and you have been added to an investigation concerning cyber harassment and related offenses. And we saw one investigation. I'm documenting every instance of your ongoing behavior and communications, both for civil proceedings and for the benefit of law enforcement and regulatory authorities as appropriate. Your continued actions and failure to comply with the original cease and desist letter constitute further evidence of malicious intent. You're hereby placed on notice that you do not immediately halt such conduct with no alternative but to pursue all available remedies under Florida and federal law, including but not limited to claims of defamation, invasion of privacy, stalking, cyber stalking, copyright infringement, and extortion. Preservation of assets. You are specifically directed to preserve all evidence and assets. And that's what's called a spoliation demand. And part of this, the most important part is communications between yourself and, do we know any of these people, Michael? Jeremy Brian Hales, Arthur George, Deanna West, Matthew Lewis, Jason Hipster, and anyone related to YouTube channels, What the Hales, Umbrella Guy, Megan Rocks Ryder, Jay Him, Rosalind Duke, Mr. Coon, Shizzy Widnup, and Piglet Investigates. And so she made her demands here. I'm not going to belabor the whole thing, but they made the demands. A cease and desist. So, this is a cease and desist letter.
All right. So here are the problems with the letter. One.
What's the problem with the letter, Michael?
You've sent 3. that makes you look weak. Number two, you say she's defaming you. You don't say specifically how she's defaming you. You don't say how it's defamation. Number three, there's got to be consequences. Lisa, if you're going to sue, sue. But constantly sending cease and desist letters with vague threats, that, I get those all the time. Those aren't legitimate. There's no reason to send 3 cease and desist letters. You sent one. You have to have specific defamatory and other things. And then if they don't comply, then you sue, or you don't send a cease and desist. So this has a lot of legalese, but if you think she's defaming you, you have to sue her.
She says it's not. It's the final, and it's not a threat, Mike. That's what she says. She says there was specific, right. Mike. She thinks that it's specific.
No, there's no specific. I don't know how she's defaming you. A defamation,
No, what she was doing, she was going in there and she was getting a private release of a public release of private facts. That's what she was doing.
Right. I don't know what that means.
She was going out there and she was going and getting documents and releasing them for no legitimate purpose.
I know I'm not a lawyer, but I've received many cease and desist letters. I am experienced with a correct cease and desist.
She's suing her.
All right. Well, then sue her. You've already sent her 3 cease and desist letters. There's no reason to send her 3. A correct, because I've received one correct.
Michael, are you there? Stop. You go in Max Headroom on this. What's happening?
All right. I've received many cease and desist letters. One was correct. The one that was correct was very specific. Things that I got wrong, and gave documentation for why they were wrong. The other ones were vague about what I got wrong. You're defamatory. Your article is defamatory. No, not your article is defamatory. What in the article is defamatory? So that's number one. Number two, you have to say, what are the consequences? Spoliation, I guess, is a consequence. But if you're going to sue. You don't need to send 3 cease and desist letters. Sue. You've sent 1, 2, 3. She's not going to respond, so hopefully you sue. And then that's, the right one is you have until, June 10th at 5 p.m. If you don't take this action by June 10th, 5 p.m., I reserve the right to any and all, including a defamation lawsuit. And then that's a correct cease and desist letter. And that's it. So if you're going to sue, good. I don't think you need to send 3 cease and desist letters, but I don't think you need 3. I think you need to be a lot more specific about what she's getting wrong. If you bring that into court, Megan's going to say, I don't know what she's talking about. I didn't know what she was talking about, so I couldn't fix it. So I don't know that the letter will have much good unless I didn't see the first and second one. Maybe you were more specific in the first and second one. So if you were more specific in the first and second one, then you don't necessarily need to be specific in the third one, but also you don't need to have 3 cease and desist letters. So those are my criticisms with the cease and desist letter.
All right. Well, I will show everyone, and we'll do a review for everybody. How does this one look? The 5 elements of defamation. Okay. Mm-hmm. This is a good review for everybody, so we know. There are 5 elements that are there. It's a statement, right? It has to be a statement communicated to a third party, and it can be either spoken or written, right, Michael? It can be a spoken statement, that would be slander, or a written statement, that would be libel. Okay, the statement, right? It's a statement. It's not an opinion, right? It's not an exclamation. It's not a question. It is a declaratory statement, right? That somebody says that's capable of truth and falsity, right? That's what we're talking about, correct, Michael?
Right.
The statement clearly refers to the plaintiff. So in this case, there were statements and there were things that were conveyed about Lisa Lee. That's what she's saying. The statement clearly referred to the plaintiff, Lisa Lee, who's going to be suing. She said that email we just showed. It's a precondition under Florida law to send that 5 days before you commence, right? The statement harmed the plaintiff's reputation. Lisa said so in there. She said, harm my reputation She's got to get a little more specific when she files the lawsuit to tell how, or she's going to run into Jeremy Hales land. They did this and they said bad things and blah, 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 blah. She's got to get specific on how it harmed her. The statement is demonstrably false. Okay. It's a false statement. Okay. And then the fifth is the person who made the statement was at fault. Well, she's got to prove all those things for defamation. Now, that's not the only thing that she's doing. She's also tying it to a copyright infringement. She infringed on my copyright. Now, a copyright claim, and I don't know what Lisa's going to do. I'm just going to tell everybody what I know about copyright law. And what I know about copyright law is that it's a federal question if you want it to be. Admiralty, bankruptcy, and copyright are all federal question jurisdictions. So you can go right to federal court. It doesn't matter about diversity of jurisdiction. If you have a copyright issue and you're claiming that Megan Fox violated your copyright, you can walk into federal court. There are certain things that go to federal court, and a copyright claim is one of them. You can also bring it in state court, but it's a lot better to bring it in federal court because federal judges are specialized in dealing with copyright, which is a federal body of law. That being said, the claim is that her copyright was infringed upon. Right. And that's one of the issues this had. So in releasing a lot of these materials, some of the materials that she released, she's going to claim, Piglet's going to claim she got them from a FOIA request or from an open public record request or from some other request. Right. But the stuff that she broadcast to her entire audience that was Lisa's protected copyrighted material, a lot of it doesn't fall under fair use. Right. So that's the other claim that she has. And if we remember, the most famous
Stop. What did she broadcast that was Lisa's copyrighted material?
Well, Lisa has a whole list. I think we'll leave it for Lisa to say, but she's got a whole list of things, and she's actually served her with that before, claiming that there was fair use.
Right.
No fair use.
If she's very specific, then that satisfies the cease and desist. So if she was specific in the other ones, then it's fine. Then my only complaint is you don't need to send 3 cease and desist letters. But if you were specific in the first and or second letter, you don't need to keep sending. You
do need to send it under a Florida law in order to preserve your situation. I'm gonna put in another thing because. This is fair use. People ask what fair use was, right? And so that's the only defense that really one of the only defenses that Megan would have to a copyright, saying that fair use is a legal doctrine allowing for a limited use of copyright material without permission from the copyright owner for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, or research. It serves as a defense against copyright infringement claims. So if she brings a copyright infringement claim, Lisa does, against Piglet, Piglet's going to claim fair use, right? And so here it goes. You have to show that there was criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, or research, right? These are the basic factors. And basically, they're going to look at how it was used, if there were comments being made about it, what the format it was in, whether it was framed around an argument or newsworthy materials. My understanding with Lisa is that it was a straight, somebody went into Lisa's pay part of her site, downloaded the material there, and then Megan went and rebroadcasted it so that people didn't have to pay $500 to look at it. So the damages that Megan potentially has is $500 times 60,000 streams. And she did this with several videos, so that's $30,000 a stream.
Look, if she's taking the stuff that's in the paid subscription and then broadcasting it for free on hers, that is like blatant
copyright.
And
it's like somebody went to your stuff, Michael. You have people that pay you on a monthly basis. I have people that pay me on a monthly basis to look at exclusive content. You do paid articles for your subscribers. So michaelvolpe.substack.com. If you want to subscribe to Michael Volpe, you go to michaelvolpe.substack.com and you can subscribe to him. And the problem that we have is, if people want to steal, this is addressed right there, michaelvolpe.substack.com. If people want to steal Michael's intellectual property, that is what the copyright law is there for, to protect. It protects you, Michael, it protects me, and it protects Lisa, who created this stuff. And so if you want to go and subscribe to Michael, I'm going to put his address up. and his address is up right now, and I'm gonna put it up on the screen. Okay, you could go to subscribe to him, and there's a paywall. If you went behind Michael's paywall and took one of his paid articles, right, and you broadcast it to all your viewers, Michael could sue. He could say that article is worth $10, and you broadcasted it to 100,000 people or 700,000 people if you're Jeremy Hales. You owe me, is 700,000. You owe me $7 million, Jeremy Hales, and he can go to court and sue if that's the case. Now that's the theory that Lisa Lee is going with, right? And so that I think it's a viable theory.
I don't have experience with blatant plagiarism like that. However, I did an article back in 2012, I think. At the time, he was an anonymous source. There's a guy named Sean Higgins, who's now known as the most prolific whistleblower in VA history. He's blown the whistle on like 100 incidents of waste, fraud, and abuse. I was responsible for about 60 or 70 of those. And so he tells me that within 6 months, they closed a therapeutic pool for the veterans. And then within 6 months of that, they approved $1 million. This is at the Memphis VA Medical Center, one of the worst VA hospitals. So within 6 months of that, they approved $1 million in bonuses. And I couldn't prove it. And I bluffed a spokesperson who did confirm it for me. I do the article, and Bill O'Reilly, when he had a Fox News show, his producer reaches out to me, asks me to talk to all my anonymous sources. And when O'Reilly did the story, he pretended like he figured it out, never mentioned me, I didn't even want myself to be mentioned. I wanted him to say, this was first broadcast on the Daily Caller, because out of his 3 million people, 50,000, 100,000 possibly would go to Daily Caller and read the article. And the Daily Caller paid me per click. So, he cost me, it wasn't that much money. It wasn't enough to sue, but that's similar to what Lisa did. And that's really common in the news business. And it's very, very slimy when news people take your work, pawn it off as their own. It's something that happens on Twitter all the time that Elon and his people are trying to fix. And if Megan really took a video that was behind a paywall and downloaded it and then broadcast it to her audience, she has big problems.
It's a big problem. It's a very big problem. This is a very, very serious issue for her, especially saying this goes to the argument that she's no longer a journalist, Michael, because you've made the strongest argument, I think, that what she did to the families that you were helping to expose the injustice in the family court in St. Louis. What she did was unconscionable for taking down the articles that you co-wrote with her, and for my thing I talked about the other night.
Hold on. I didn't co-write articles. We did a show together, but yeah, close enough.
So you co-produced media with her. You co-produced media with her,
right?
Correct?
Yeah, right. Correct.
So she took media, and she co-produced it. She's like erasing you from existence because she has a problem with you, and she's hurting parents, protective parents in St. Louis that basically had their story out there and hurting them. Now the second to that is not only is she hurting them because of her relationship with Jeremy Hales, right? She's also brigading. She is one of the leaders of the brigade. What the Hales Brigade did, and they hurt you. They continue to hurt me and try to attack me, but they really hurt you.
I want to get an article. I want to get an article up. I want to show just how far she's gone. Can you get that up?
Yeah, sure.
All right. Michael, by the way, they're worried about me misspelling. She misspelled my name, but that's okay. Michael Volpe couldn't investigate his way out of a paper bag. Clearly, the court didn't think the man was credibly accused. Do you have that up? Yeah. So that is regarding a case from Central Illinois where a guy admitted to watching porn while caring for his kids, and his daughter disclosed to several different mandated reporters that he was molesting her. her pediatrician, who was one of the mandated reporters, testified not only to the disclosure, change in behavior, but redness in the private parts. Her saying clearly the court didn't find the evidence compelling. This is what someone who thinks family court is well run would say. She is smearing victims. She is trashing victims. She has done a 180, and she is basically now telling people the court works fine, and you don't need to believe people who think they've been wronged.
Yeah. And so, you know, and Marla says it too. The research items assessing the channels going after Michelle and John, some of them are dead or demonetized. Well, yeah. And what's been happening the past few months is, you know, I've been on the case of understanding how this whole cancel culture system works. I've been actually studying this for a couple of years now, and very, very detailed evidence has been presented to numerous social media companies, including YouTube, about not only Jeremy Hales and his crew, but also Dinesh Nashirvan, James McGibney, some of these other people out there that are real scumbags that engage in brigading using not only human beings like useful idiots, like Jeremy Hales' entire ecosystem of useful idiots, but also AI and also bots. So this is something now that YouTube that's a point of emphasis for them because, and the big thing I think, Michael, and you can comment on this, is the lawsuits that's the social media lawsuits that have just been lost in California, where the social media companies had design defects, and they've warranted to the public that they're going to have a safe place for people to be, and they're saying that it's a design defect, that it wasn't a safe place, and design defect, design equals product. That makes it a product liability case, not a Section 230 case. So YouTube, since those things, and also Facebook and all the social media companies, since those verdicts came down, have had, over the past 2 to 3 months, have had a point of emphasis on sniffing this stuff out. Now, YouTube had those waves of demonetization. They're still happening. And that, I think, is related to them trying to clean up the act of people that are brigading and engaging in activity that whose content is harmful. You know, it's targeted harmful conduct.
Yeah,
but
no,
we'll see.
The way that they remove YouTube channels is extremely haphazard and random, and all sorts of people have their channels removed and then they get them back a month later. There's a guy named Pete Callender who I found because of the commonality of our YouTube channels being removed, and he finally got it back, and he said, well, I reached out to my congressman. So if you reach out to your congressperson and then you get your YouTube channel back, obviously you didn't do anything wrong. And nobody's running to Rumble, unfortunately. YouTube is still the only game in town. But I don't know if they fixed anything. I don't think you can make the argument it's a product liability case. I think they'll make the more effective argument that it's still a Section 230 case. And part of what Jeremy does is go after the people going after him, not just by like criticizing them and showing how they're wrong, but suing them, trying to get their channels removed. In my case, threatening to intercede in a child custody case. In Leslie's case, calling her parents and that sort of thing. He does all kinds of sneaky and slimy things, and none of those I did with Megan. I didn't promise to increase her viewership exponentially, which I'm sure he did. But, I offered her a path to being honest and ethical and breaking important stories. And that's what I thought was important to her. I don't think that's important to her now. All right, I think we need to wrap this up.
All right, I'm going to tell everybody real quick, when you can, sub to me at Luthman News on YouTube. I'm almost at 500. When I get to 500, I get developer tools. And developer tools are like goodies that I can use in my battle against Jerm and his entire ecosystem. So once I get more developer tools, I'll be able to do more development of beautiful, beautiful content that you people seem to like so much. And me and Michael and others can talk about what's going on with the Jeremy Hales ecosystem, with the family courts, with so many other things. We actually we did family court yesterday on the Unknown podcast, and that's available on YouTube and Rumble and on Spotify and on anywhere where podcasts are available. That's where they are. It's a Substack as well. And we talked a little bit about Colorado family court and developments there. We have some other stuff planned going forward with different lawmakers around the country with family courts. We reached out to people in Colorado and Arizona. We just spoke to somebody in Idaho. We spoke to people in South Carolina and other places and all those states about family court reform. We talk about that. And we also talk about our own different issues as well. So pay attention, subscribe, do what we got to do. We will take down these people. They're just not good people. Sometimes these people are very, very bad people. And some of this stuff that I've been doing about Jeremy Hales dovetails with some of the other cancel culture stuff I'm doing about a very bad guy named Dinesh Nashirvan who has Antifa ties. And if you're interested in that, check out my Substack page on that. But on that point, Michael, we will conclude. Is there anything you want to say as we wrap up?
No, thanks guys for being here. We'll talk to you.
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to leave everybody with the new exhibit that's on the shelf in the Gainesville clerk's office as we sign off. This is one that everybody has to see because it is not banned anywhere because it's educational, documentary, scientific, and artistic. And it's the core of the lawsuit against me as defendant, Richard A. Luthmann Jr., brought by Jeremy Hales, Claim 2 in the Northern District of Florida federal case. Everybody, have a beautiful Friday and have a great weekend. Be safe, whatever you do. Have a good one.
I have to fuck her so she obeys me. I don't give a shit about having sex with beautiful women. I fuck them to me so I can get what I actually want, which is not them. It's a means to an end. Every single Bond girl was exploited. That's exactly what I do. When I watch a Bond film and I see him basically pimp a bitch, to me that speaks to my heart. I've been there. I've done that. Anyone who's followed me long enough knows that I've made my $1 million with a webcam business. I have met beautiful women with good personality and thought she will make me money. I have to fuck this bitch. I don't want to have sex with her. I just need the money.
Won't you take me to Funky Town? Won't you take me to Funky Town? Won't you take me to Funky Town?
What do you have in your mouth? What is that?